All right. First rule of this channel, we do not talk about this channel. Second rule of this channel, this is not legal advice. So, little news and notes. I was waiting on something to be big enough to want to do like a 5 or 10 minute video on all this stuff. So, J.K. Dobbins signed with the Chargers today, or it looks like he's going to sign maybe tomorrow. Remembering that J.K. Dobbins has that ACL with knee damage, and then last year it was the Achilles. The Achilles, we're looking at Deonta Foreman took him a couple of years to get back. Cam Akers was never right. James Robinson hasn't been able to make it back in the league. Maybe Aaron Rodgers got that new procedure done. Maybe the explosiveness will be back with J.K. Dobbins. The bigger reason why I think this is interesting is that the Chargers, and then we have the other guy with the Cowboys, Royce Freeman signing with the Cowboys. These two teams are gearing up in such a capacity that they're expecting to maybe not get their guy in the draft. So some of the guys, and I have this pulled up someplace, some of the guys that go in the draft, like if they start going past that like 4th round range, are probably not going to be fantasy relevant. I'll talk a little bit more about this the week of the draft, what we're looking for overall. So 5th round capital and below may not make the team. 4th round capital and above probably will make the team. So those are the things that we're looking at. So there's only going to be a handful of guys that really move the needle. J.K. Dobbins may be limited, but tracking this in the offseason, trying to figure out what we missed on Kieran Williams, because there were people in the know that knew Kieran Williams was going to be the man. And when it comes to the Chargers and Gus Bus, and I have this pulled up someplace. So 2 years, $6.5 million contract. The out is after this season. So 3.35 or 3.375 guaranteed. Again, 1 year rental, and they're paying him basically, backup money to do the job. So going into next year, and I got to pull up my notes. So I have Gus Edwards at running back 16. The J.K. Dobbins signing right now doesn't do anything for me. It can be insurance. It could also be, they're bringing in Dobbins to maybe be the 1B. I still would expect the Chargers to pick a guy in the draft, but a move like this says like, hey, if we like Dobbins and we don't get the guy that we want, then we're going to stick with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. I'm not expecting Josh Kelley and Isaiah Spiller to really be a thing when it comes to the Chargers this year. So it's either they bring a guy in the draft or they are going to roll forward with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards in and of itself right now, like I'd say, like has the possibility to be a low end bell cow. So like your high end 2, low end 1, that would be his range of outcomes if he's the only guy. J.K. Dobbins coming in, it's going to be heavily based off of like if the Chargers like him enough to either be a role guy or to potentially eat into that role. And that's going to be something to be monitoring during camp, during the offseason. Like I there's no contract details on J.K. Dobbins overall. So like how easy it is for the Chargers to get out from under this. I wouldn't be shocked that J.K. Dobbins doesn't even make the roster, but it's something to be looking forward to. Other news and notes that I was looking at. So you got Ceedee Lamb and then Justin Jefferson and Courtland Sutton not showing up for voluntary workouts with their teams. This is general contract shenanigans. Doesn't worry me right now with Justin Jefferson. I'm more concerned with the quarterback situation. Ceedee Lamb, also not worried about it. This is stuff if they start holding out into camp. This would be when I start moving guys down their board. If they're missing camp time, the chances of them having an injury go up during the regular season. And again, a guy like Courtland Sutton, though, a move like this, like he was already wide receiver 40 for me. Fantasy Pros has him as like wide receiver 44. But that would be like where I was picking up my Nico Collins shares going into last year, like my 12th, 13th round picks. Like now, no, thank you. So like Courtland Sutton playing shenanigans with that quarterback situation. He could be somebody else's problem. That's how fickle I can be with some of this stuff. Like, maybe he shows up to camp and, maybe I don't hear anything about it. And maybe there's a quarterback that comes in and maybe I'll start thinking about it. But like something like this, like, yeah, he would move out of that top 50 when it comes to the wide receivers. I'll just go someplace else on that. So the other news, like I said, Royce Freeman went and signed with the Cowboys. I'm still expecting there's a possibility that Rico Dowdle is going to be the bell cow there. Maybe the 60% snaps with Deuce Vaughn. I think there's a possibility of that. I was hearing some rumors that Jonathan Brooks is the guy that the Cowboys are going to be targeting, and bringing a guy like Royce Freeman would expect that, like with that ACL tear that Jonathan Brooks has, like they don't necessarily have to throw the rookie Jonathan Brooks out into the wolves. They can let him recover from that. I think it's a November tear that he had. So that this little things like that, like that's where I start thinking about, maybe I can start, factoring in my head how these guys are going to be valued. So a guy like Jonathan Brooks right now, if they keep Royce Freeman and Rico Dowdle and all that good stuff, like, and he goes to the Cowboys, knowing that they're set up that they don't need him to come back early, I probably would not have him ranked as high. I also would probably be thinking like maybe is a guy that I would be trading for early than trying to waste the capital, because if he's hype trained up. Just little thoughts like that go on in my head overall. The biggest reason why I wanted to do this video today after the J.K. Dobbins sighting, it did make me think of like what with J.K. Dobbins coming in, I don't think he's going to be that like theoretical bell cow. I just don't think he's athletically can do it anymore after the ACL and the Achilles. What it did make me think of, he may be more of a thumper. He may be like more of a one for one replacement with a Gus Edwards in that offense. So now I'm wondering, like, Isaiah Spiller, Josh Kelley, not going to move the needle for me. Like, what guy would the Chargers bring in, and at what price to really make me think about like, oh, that would be interesting. So overall, the Chargers having the pick 5, they're probably not going to be pulling the trigger on a running back there. I just don't see it being likely. So like now, second, third, fourth, they have 2 fourths. 5th round draft pick is probably not going to be good enough capital for me overall. So like 3rd or 4th round pick, maybe after that. So there's 3 guys I think would be interesting to pair with Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins for the Chargers. The first is Dylan Labe. He's a running back from New Hampshire, 6-year guy. Remember, like COVID, NCAA is lame now. 4-5 guy. The biggest thing that he's interesting about is that he's maybe got the best overall hands out of all the positional guys, including wide receivers, going in the combine. So he's a receiving back. That's how he's most likely going to translate to the NFL level. So again, he goes to the Chargers. Even if with that 6th round NFL price tag that they have, that would be something that would like really move my number 16 running back Gus Edwards down. Almost to the point where I was like, yeah, I'm not interested in that dart throw with Gus Edwards. Would probably cap Gus Edwards out as like a low end RB2 at that point. Maybe be thinking like a guy like J.K. Dobbins, if we have the right camp news, potentially as a late round dart throw. If that's what it's leaning towards, like again, they're not putting enough money into Gus Edwards to really make me think that they're going to stick with him. J.K. Dobbins would be a little bit more interesting as that late round dart throw if he sticks around and he's healthy. The 2 other guys that I would be really interested in going to the Chargers this year are Tyrone Chasey Jr. from Purdue, 5'11", 209, 4.48. He's a converted wide receiver, again, complementing Gus Bus, potentially taking over the role. So this would be a guy that I could get for relatively cheap, expecting that he may take on the role. The biggest thing with rookie running backs that hurts them is their ability to pass block. And I have good old Amir Abdullah, 30-year-old running back for the Raiders. You can pass block and you can play special teams. You're going to play for 10 years in the NFL. Welcome to Amir Abdullah. So one of the biggest things we have to look at when we're scouting guys from a fantasy perspective coming into the NFL is, can they pass block? Can they pass receive? And Gus Edwards is just not going to be that guy. J.K. Dobbins may not have the athletic ability to be any more than just the guy who runs in the back of an offensive line. That's what Gus Edwards does really, really well. So the last guy I'd be looking, and this is not just because he's a Michigan guy with Jim Harbaugh, good old Blake Corum, 3rd round grade. He is the best pass blocker in this draft. Steps up and challenges linebackers in blitz pickup. So he would be the guy that I definitely think would hurt the Gus Bus chances and the J.K. Dobbins chances the most overall going into the season. But again, with the Cowboys and the Chargers, they are gearing up to miss a running back or devalue their draft capital going into the draft, that they don't have to just spend one of those premium picks. So like the Chargers being one of those teams that theoretically could go up and get one of these best available running backs, like the guys that we would expect to go there right now, these two shinings are saying, like, if we don't get the guy that we want, we're just going to let it tumble. Once we get past that, like, 4th round grade, those guys are just going to be guys that are less interesting in the draft unless we start hearing camp hype. So anyway, that's what I got for today.